4 minus 1, that's 3, quick maths. Everyday man's on the block, smoke trees. See your girl in the park, that girl was a uckers. When the thing went quack, 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 you man were ducking. Old tight Asney, he's got a pumpy. Old tight my man, he's got a frisbee. I trap on the road, moving that cornflakes. Rice crispy, old tight my girl Whitney. Perfect. On the road doing 10 toes, lava toes. You man 4, I froze. I see a pen girl, then I pose. The thing goes skrrr up, pop, 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 pop. Skitty, keep, pop, pop, and the boom, 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 boom. Skia, boom, 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 boom. The thing goes skrrr up, pop, 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 pop. Skitty, keep, pop, pop, and the boom, 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 boom. Skia, boom, 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 boom. Hop out the 4-door with a 4-4, it was 1, 2, 3, and 4. Chilling in the corridor. Your dad is 44, and he's still calling man for a draw. Let him know, when I see him, I'm gonna spin his jaw. Take my kicks by force, send my shot by force. Your girl knows I got the sauce. No ketchup, just sauce. Raw sauce. Boom, yo, God. No ketchup, just sauce. Raw sauce. No ketchup, just sauce. Raw sauce. The thing goes skrrr up, pop, 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 pop. Skitty, keep, pop, pop, and the boom, 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 boom. Skia, boom, 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 boom. You don't know, Big Shack. Yo,
so ridiculous, man.
Right. Fan in the booth.
Fan in the booth. All right, welcome to the podcast.
What up, what up? Episode 2, we back.
We back. How you doing, my man?
Good, man. You?
I'm good now. I'm good now that I got a little skarting man in me and a little bit of coffee.
So you want to explain that clip? Do I have to be the one that asks?
Or should I just...
I don't know like what was going on there, but I definitely saw like a clip of that guy reaming homie out.
Yeah,
like on Instagram.
So this
like
has been one of my favorite memes of the last little while, like for sure. And it's just like it came absolutely out of nowhere. And I think he was like, I don't know, it got released in little segments of clips essentially, and it was just like his rap by itself, just like the Tingo Scudder rap, pop 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 pop, and then he just did like the whole thing, and it was just like released in 10-second chunks, so you never really knew what the whole thing was. And then eventually I finally got to the whole thing, and it was just like it was gold, and it just got just gold, and it got better and better with every meme, as every meme usually does. It cultures, you know.
It cultures. It becomes people fun. Sit on it and they just they get better.
So that portion of the meme was actually from the guitarist of an older band, I guess it's been a while, but Attack. I don't know if you ever remember them. They were known for the crapcore days.
But big up on that name though.
Yeah.
That's a good name.
I'm sure a lot of people out there do remember though. And here, I'll quickly show you what crapcore was.
Guys from Attack.
Frig. I'm the worst for locations, but they were
States?
Yeah, down in the States. And this was during like, I'm kind of going on crazy tangents with it, but essentially I won't play the music for them, but yeah, he was the singer in this band, and he did like the thing that made them big wasn't the crabcore per se. Well, I should say it was that. It was definitely the crabcore that made them big, but they got big because they mixed it was like dance techno with like metalcore. And then the guy...
Wait, what era is this?
This is 90s? In like, no, like 2010 kind of thing.
Oh, it's not...
So like, 7 years ago, 10 years ago. I believe that was when it was released kind of deal. So anyways, the old singer, the old singer from this band essentially did that ridiculous ass remix that we were just listening to and put that Happy Time Cranberries song behind it, and it's just been in my head for
sample.
Yeah, and it's been in my head for weeks, so I figured I would torture you with it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, my friend.
It's catchy.
Yeah. So, random little clip for you for today to start the whole podcast off, but
appreciated.
Yeah, that's about it. Oh, Jesus, this thing failing on me already. Oh, okay, great. No, we're doing good. We got it.
China's finest.
China's finest, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking for the price, we'll probably just stock up on a few and then swap them out every once in a while. Find what actually works.
Yeah, might have to. These are good for now, though.
No, it's working great. So what's new with you today, man?
What's good?
It's been a couple days, but I'm glad that we're back so soon. Keep this on the roll.
When was the last one?
Last one was Sunday? Yeah, it was Sunday. It was only on Sunday. So
2 days ago.
Heck yeah.
Shit.
Yeah,
I'm break.
Yeah. I'm not the greatest at time frames. I just said I was okay. So I'm not the greatest for locations. I'm not the greatest for time frames. I'm not the greatest for names. I'm not really the greatest for much, I guess.
But we got access to the internet.
But then that's
what
the internet.
To be,
I think that's exactly it.
No,
it's like when you're in school and they're like, "All right, so we're going to teach you math, but you need to have a calculator," and you're like,
"It's basically your cheat sheet."
Yeah.
Right?
So your brain just kind of goes,
"You're like, oh,
wait a minute, like." You want me to do math, but you're
phone.
giving me a freaking electronic cheat sheet that I can play games on and write boobless on upside down?
Right, boobless. Boobs, boobies.
Boobs, boobies, boobless. Hello. Yeah, I don't know.
Might just be it.
I think we're again.
People our age would know those.
Yeah, I was just literally about to say we're dating ourselves.
Yeah.
Yet again, right at the beginning of the podcast. Do you remember when?
You know why? It's because kids nowadays, they don't have calculators. They have fucking iPhones.
Oh, dude. I remember I was in...
They're like, oh, just swipe, boom, calculator, good to go. I don't need to spend money to get a fucking calculator.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Or even just like, oh, this... I don't know what this calculation is. Google.
Google, yeah.
I just got to say, Google helped me out on a few tests when I was going to school for audio engineering.
Oh, so you're speaking from experience.
Allegedly.
Right.
It's just like, I don't know what the fuck to do on this. So I'm going to just Google that. Google. Yeah, shouts out Google on that iPhone. That 3GS. That thing saved my ass.
3G.
The 3GS, bro. That round back.
That round back, right? It's like, it was like bubbled almost, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, it was like this like weird, like super buffed plastic composite material.
Yeah, like
durable as fuck though.
Oh, it's like fucking bulletproof.
Yeah, that was like the era of iPhones when they were expanding off of like their iMac days and stuff. That like
those old big iPods and shit.
Yeah, true.
Where the iPhone was the same size as the iPod. Right?
Yep. Man, do you remember just recently when they got rid of the iPod? It was the
Shuffle?
No, it was the larger, like 300 gigabyte iPod, like iPod Classics. I think they were. Yeah, they eventually. 300 gigabyte? Yeah, I believe it was 300. I know they had like 124.
I remember you're not good at remembering.
No, you're correct.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it got up to 300. I remember fucking my homie had one of them and stuff, and they got to these things that were the expansion on them was so large, and when they ousted them. Yeah, they're just like, everybody's got iPhones and shit nowadays. They started going for crazy mad resale prices on eBay and shit. Like people are smart,
man. They know.
And because like a bunch of people like
they can foresee that opportunity. They're like, yo,
because it got to
capitalize off this.
It was the
They're
time
not
of
make it anymore.
Exactly, man. Just like a little resale action. I'm in.
Dude, that was like remember S footwear?
Oh hell yeah, of course.
When those went under.
When was that? Because I was another one where I was just like I had my head down, and all of a sudden somebody's just like, yeah, like almost all the skate shoe brands that you knew are gone.
That was back when I was working at Paul's Boutique.
Fuck, that was that like, long ago, eh?
Maybe like 2012, 2013, something like that, maybe.
Damn.
Without looking it up, that's what I'm just
gonna guess. Yeah.
I'm not 100% on that.
For real though, that was a big.
That was such a huge brand, like so influential. And
who was behind that brand at the beginning? Google machine. Here we go. But yeah, that was one of those ones where there was a slew of influential bands.
Was the face of that, and that was back when Costin. He's on Nike now, but. It's funny looking back when he was on S. some of his first pro models were modeled after like.
That's right.
Old, like, Jordans
yeah.
and,
It was
like,
the Jordan 11, I believe. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
He was just talking about that on his.
Because he was such a fan of like Nikes and like Air Maxes and stuff.
Right.
That, like, he started to introduce that design into his pro models with S.
15. Blah 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 blah.
But yeah, it was such a huge brand that when I got the news it was going under. Like all skate shops, like I'm sure felt the same way. You're like, what?
Yeah,
like,
everybody's just like, dude,
like
that was
DC
a staple of a name.
Exactly, it was a staple brand. And when it did go under, going back to what you're talking about, eBay and shit.
The head was Don Brown, and he started to work on building the team with members like you're just saying, with Costin, Tom Penny.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But yeah, anyways, like a massive brand that was just a huge part of the staple of the culture itself. And it was a lot of these like brands at the time that were very much culture orientated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was back in the time when it seemed like it seemed whack to wear Adidas or Nike and skate.
That was before
Nike SB movement.
That was before, SBs. That was before Adidas skateboarding.
Oh yeah,
like,
100%, dude.
Where you know it to now, where now those are household names in the skateboard
for
world.
sure. Like Adidas has just got a collab coming up with Palace again. You know, and Palace is on that like hypebeast train now with like Supreme and shit now, where it's like that was a skateboarding brand at the beginning.
Yeah, and they kind of like popped up out of nowhere the last couple years. But
now
they're fucking, like
now
you said, they're
huge,
like,
dude,
like Supreme level almost. Just because I think why some of these brands are so successful is like the collabs.
For sure, dude.
It's like they come out of nowhere. You start seeing them just like on celebrities.
Yeah.
Basically, like
for sure.
How I found
the
out
influencer action.
How I found out about Palace wasn't even through skateboarding. I was like saw Wiz Khalifa wearing it and shit, and I was like, yo, that's pretty.
You probably saw that triangle logo, and you're like, what the fuck's up with that shit?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's pretty dope. And then like you just subconsciously take note of that logo or the name even. And then it's just put on the back burner until you see it again, and you're like, "Oh shit, that was that fucking." And then I found out, I was like, "Oh, it's a fucking skate brand." I was like, "Oh shit!" Right. But they totally just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna give this guy some shit. I'm gonna give this guy some shit," and like, that's what they need to do. But lots of these brands, right? They do it with the right people at the right moment, and they just collab right
timing
away,
is huge in that scene.
Boom! They're just fucking. They become a Nike.
Basically. Yeah, for sure. But like on their own level, almost with like even more dedicated fans, you know, which is the important thing,
especially with skateboarding, right? Like it's no matter how mainstream skateboarding is, like it's always going to be underground because
for sure
it has like that boom when it gets super fucking popular, like when the action sports thing came, and fucking everyone and their grandma started skateboarding when I was like in
the X Games boom of like
school.
It would have been late 90s, early thousands.
Yeah. And then it just fucking boom drops off. And then you get the people like us that fucked with it before and continued to do it. And then
the interest in the culture, I think, is what kept it going.
I'd be the only one at the skate park for years. Like literally because it wasn't cool anymore, you know?
Right.
But it was... Yeah, it totally became one of those things when people would be like, "Oh shit, like you skate, you're like you do this."
Yeah,
like, people would just like they would buy a skateboard just so they could be like, "Yo, I can like I'm a skateboarder."
It's like when you find out about within the skate community, the mall grab.
The mall grab
is like the sign of a poser.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, the mall grab, like you carry your board by the truck. You don't have a skateboard here, do you?
Oh, I got tech decks and a handboard in there.
I was gonna say you could demonstrate it, but rather than carrying your board at your side, you carry it by the metal truck and you just carry it.
Yeah,
it's just like
you're carrying it by your side by like super awkwardly.
It doesn't make any sense.
No, it's essentially just like the white boy hanging out in the mall. Late 90s trying to look cool but doesn't know how to ride his board.
Yeah. So they carry it around the mall.
Exactly.
They don't know how to ride it.
Exactly. The mall grab.
The mall grab.
Yeah.
Hashtag the mall grab.
Hashtag mall grab.
Yeah.
Fuck, that shit's hilarious, man. But yeah, it's that's been one of the most interesting cultures to watch the ebb and flow because it's always going to be around.
Always be around because there's always, like I said, the day ones that they just do it because they like it. It just is
exactly. And I think maybe that's what leads a lot of people, or why the skate culture has blown up so much within the fashion industry, because the whole thing behind fashion is confidence, right? And within skateboarding, people just own shit.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they find a style that works and is usually functional for skating.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, at the same time, you can go skate all day, but then just go hang out with your homies afterwards or some shit and still look good.
Yeah,
you know what
totally.
I mean?
So you need shit that you can...
It's functional.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Basic,
so...
Yeah, the easiest way to describe it. Just
so I think
functional.
that probably has a big reason of why it's translated over into fashion, besides the fact of like, I mean, it's always had its own eclectic style. Like the weird one that's going on right now is the fact that like everybody and their dog wearing Thrasher tees.
Thrasher tees.
Yeah. Right? It's like, what?
But
in the same guise,
I don't know.
I get it, because
Thrasher's
like,
so big,
yeah,
that it's with something like that, it's just inevitable, you know?
Yeah,
I mean?
absolutely.
Like,
it becomes a piece of
On
culture.
one hand, like, because those day ones are so dedicated,
right?
That, like the hardcore skateboard people, like they see someone like Bieber or someone huge wearing a Thrasher shirt,
right.
Well, that's kind of a bad example. Bieber does skateboard,
for sure, yeah.
But where something gets popular and they think people hop on the bandwagon, that those like hardcore day one fans, they'd be like, "You're not even a fucking skateboarder. Like, why are you wearing that? Like, you're a poser." Right? That's like how some of these people think.
When maybe they are interested, just like interested.
But exactly. Like on the other hand, it's like, whatever, man. Like people
right.
can shit just to like it. Like whether or not they're hopping on a bandwagon, or they just like it because they're like, oh, this specific Thrasher tee's like flame lettering, like I like fucking fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So like I'm wearing it because I like it. It's like, right. So it's like, who's to knock people for wearing?
Excuse me, you hopping on my phone
shit,
like an asshole here. I'm just quickly double checking that this is actually working.
Can you imagine?
Oh man. Okay,
this
cool.
is fucking. It's gold right now though.
Yeah.
Man.
So.
Alright, we good.
Yeah, we good, man. We good.
But like one thing that is dope about it though is that because it is so big and you get people that don't skateboard that wear it, that it's getting good exposure, and it brings those questions to people that are like, oh, what's Thrasher?
Right.
Even though like to us Thrasher is so huge,
yeah,
but we're in that culture, so we know. But
for sure,
you have to think of the people that aren't. Like, if you don't know, you don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
As simple as that, right?
You so just might.
It'll bring the awareness, and people will be like, "Oh, this skateboarding brand, oh, whatever." Then they may go in to look up like Thrasher.com, and then they see what's going on in the current issue, and they're like, "Whoa, this is crazy." Then they may dive into like they see a photo of someone, like, "Who's this person?" What? And then they start maybe getting introduced into skateboarding. Like,
yeah, and you'd have to think about it to even.
Which is awesome, because skateboarding is amazing.
Oh, it's one of the best like forms of expression if in general, I find, for sure. Like the stylistic individuality within it.
Yeah, the freedom of it, because it's just a tool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can do with it whatever you want. So that's what's so amazing about it. Some people take it super technical and some people do it super basic, but they have a really like unique style. It's it's like a paintbrush. It's like seeing how someone, it's like, this is a tool, like what are you gonna do with it? Like it's completely up to you.
Yeah, it's an amazing outlet. And like so like you were saying, if people all of a sudden find out about that Thrasher tee and then they're gonna go search for it or whatever, now you start thinking about it on the end of like what today's aspect is with the social medias and stuff like that. So they're gonna be searching up like hashtag Thrasher on Instagram, on like on Twitter and stuff like that, and then that might be exposing them to somebody new that's wearing it, that's somebody that, like, you know what I mean? So it's just further exposure along the line to be like,
it could go into music, right? They're like, oh, look at fucking this person,
right?
Like,
exactly. So
like Bieber wearing it.
So
like,
it does become, I guess, even a part of the
rapper.
culture at that point, right? Because then it's just further exposing people to new opportunities or even interests, like whatever it might be, right? So I don't know. That's where it kind of gets funny, where like the same thing is even kind of happening right now with like people with Slayer tees and
the
old school
band.
metal. Oh, excuse me.
Okay, so so what's your take? I'm interested to hear what's your take on that.
Well, I grew up a thrash metal kid, you know, for 100% sure. Camo shorts, wore boots every single day of the year for like 3 years straight. In the summer, through the snow, in the rain, like didn't matter like what it was going on. I was wearing boots every day, which is funny because that's why it led me to start wanting to get really comfortable shoes. Is because like, oh, you can
your
get
feet are all fucked up.
yeah, I'm like, oh, you can get comfy
they're
shoes.
not functional.
Yeah, what the hell is this shit?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I was the atypical thrash metal. No, I was over the top thrash metal kid. Like people
say, yeah.
Let's just say this: people had chains on their wallet. My chain was like
a bike chain.
No, it was bigger than a bike chain. It was like literally I went to the hardware store and was like, it was like I was trying to just, I don't know, mock off of Zakk Wylde a bit at the time because like he had his massive chain, right? So I was like, oh, one up Zakk Wylde.
Zakk Wylde, is that the like Ozzy Osbourne prodigy?
Yeah. He was Ozzy's guitarist forever, and then led into his own band, Black Label Society, which was just like
definitely
a massive part, like to the fact that the skull that's in the moon on my tattoo was originally part of a Black Label Society tattoo. That was my first tattoo when I was 18 years old. So
full circle.
Yeah, well, full circle to the circle.
I see you.
And so yeah, I was like, oh, I'm gonna one up Zakk Wylde. Like he's got that big ass chain. I'm gonna go get a big ass chain. So I was down at my
the power of influence, right? You're like, oh yeah, that chain, and you're like, okay, so I could at least get the same one
for sure. And I've always been a person for like wanting to be a little brash with the things I do to get a reaction out of people, like
okay,
you know. And I think that ultimately stems from the point where I was like, if people are gonna like look at me weird anyways, I might as well like have some fun with it.
Might as well make them do a double take.
Yeah, for sure, right? So I was down at my cabin in Point Roberts, and I went to the hardware store, and I was just like, I saw that they had these big like reels of different size chains.
Oh yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I just like went to the front counter and I just
reel.
Yeah. And I was straight up like, give me, was it 3 feet? No, I think it was 2 feet. It was 2 feet of your heaviest,
of your finest.
Yeah,
steel.
give me 2 feet of your finest steel, my sir. Yeah. And I said, give me your heaviest, thickest chain you have. And the guy was like,
did he look at you and be like, "Are you gonna murder someone with
this? He was
this?"
like, "You must be locking up something real important with this." And I looked at him.
That's what he said?
Yeah, because like this is the shit.
Wallet.
It had
like that's what you use it for, right? Is your
oh yeah,
chain?
Okay. I use it for a wallet chain. So I ended up getting a massive carabiner to come off of my waist to my wallet, and it was just the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. Like, but it was so funny. Like I wore it to school. And like,
did they take it away?
No,
they let you wear it,
dude. I wore the most ridiculous shit.
Thinking about that now, you think as soon as you'd walk in, like someone, like a teacher would stop you. Like nowadays, 100%.
I think somebody might have taken it away in one of my classes or something, but no, man. I was this kind of interesting student where they would let me get away with a lot of shit.
You know what though? I think like your size had like played a part in that a little bit, you know, like maybe they were a little intimidated to be like, you give me that.
And then like to the point where it was like, you know, like everybody else would always get in trouble for like trying to sit somewhere else, and I would just like instantly go sit in the back of the class, put in my headphones. Nobody else was allowed to listen to music, but I was allowed to listen to music. People get in trouble for wearing like your brother, I remember one time got in crazy trouble at high school for wearing a Blink-182 Take Your Pants Off and Jacket shirt.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and he got sent home and they like had to take it off or some shit and like flip it around or something.
I totally like.
You might remember that instant. Yeah. Because that would have been talked about for sure.
I think I remember
like,
him.
Do you know how ridiculous this is?
Like coming home from school and him talking about that actually.
Yeah. So I had Pantera shirts that had weed leaves all over them, on fire with skulls and crossbones. To the point where in grade 11 and 12, I had a Stormtroopers of Death shirt that on the back, it was a ripoff of a Guns N' Roses shirt. The one that had like the cross with all the faces and the skulls, and it had their faces as the skulls, and on the back, and it had like the nice banner. Yeah, the banner, yeah. And in the banner it said "Kill yourself." And so, on the back. Yeah, on the back. And so I wore this to school like all the time, with my gigantic chain, with my headphones on.
Kill yourself? Is that what you said?
Yeah, kill yourself. That's what it said, because it's one of their songs.
Yeah, okay.
Right, and just the reactions were so funny. Like just.
But were they quiet behind your back? Like.
No. I think a lot of people
heard reactions, or people said shit to you, or what?
Dude, people definitely said shit to me, but it was like a lot of
to you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just kind of like, what the fuck's that about?
Really?
Yeah.
So I feel like, well, I guess
I've never been like as large.
Then.
Yeah.
People like
no, that shit wouldn't fly at all. SOD couldn't come out nowadays. No way.
But if you wore it, like, I don't think someone would like be like, "Yo, what's up with this on your shirt?" Like, I don't think people would point that out.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's an interesting fact. I think about that one a lot. Like a lot of the stuff that like would you get away with or whatever. I gotta fix my mic here. Give me a second, my friend. You talk away.
So when I had to get my car serviced today, classic. So funny, man. So I was thinking, I went in. It was just for like a basic, like lube oil filter, right? And when I went in, I was like, oh, I felt like I was getting off easy. And I was like, oh, I'm so glad like this time around it was just something super cheap. And I kind of was like, I don't know, it's too good to be true. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, so I was there chilling. They were doing the normal maintenance. And then the guy phones me and I'm like, oh, sick, it's done. Right? And he's like, hey, yeah, actually, we noticed with and as soon as he said that, I was like, this fucking guy, man. I was like, I knew it was too fucking good to be true. There's always a something. Oh, we noticed.
Yeah.
Your fucking muffler's hanging, you know, like whatever. But yeah, he hit me with the, oh, you got a fucking nail in your tire. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, I was like, classic.
Yeah.
Right? I was
there's
like,
always
there's
something.
always something.
Yeah.
So fuck yeah, it was exactly like what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So there was that something else. So I had to fucking pay to get this nail taken out and patched up.
So what do they charge for a patch on a tire for something like that?
Okay, so the lube oil filter, he said it was like $80,
right?
So I'm like, okay, chill. And then he's like, yeah, you have this nail in your tire. You kind of need to fix it, you know? Yeah. He's like, I'm going to tell you how much it is, but really I should just be like, this is how much you have to pay us.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's one of those things you can't be like, no, don't fix it. I'm going to just fucking ride out, like, because eventually it's just going to get fucked, you know? So I guess it was like 130 was the total.
Right.
So
fuck, man, that's the one thing, like, I miss
taxes and shit.
I miss my car a lot right now, but like the cost of that shit is so crazy.
List of things that go wrong with the car,
it never ends, man. I'm thinking about one thing I want to do next year is get one of these like they're like hybrid electric bicycles. Yeah, they're really crazy.
Break this down.
I'll show you. I'll show you the one that I'm looking at.
How's this work?
So essentially, there's this.
Okay, hybrid. What's hybrid about it?
The fact that it has a massive lithium-ion battery on it that can take you up to 40 miles in distance at about 35 miles per hour without having to pedal at all.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Now is this like a specific one, or is there like a bunch of...
There's a bunch of different ones, and like a lot of stuff that's going on right now, kind of like what's going on with the boosted board phenomenon. Like, are you familiar with you're not familiar with the boosted board action?
Dude,
jeez, I guess this is
one thing at a time.
Yeah, so much stuff. So that would have been part of the whole Casey Neistat fucking thing, but I gotta take you down that rabbit hole yet. So these ones are dope because they're modeled after like
it looks
like the taco bikes of back in the day, like the little mini bikes.
Yeah.
And this company, I don't want to sign up for updates, thank you.
Like, I just want to quickly show people shit.
Yeah, these things are dope. So anyways,
let's go. It looks like if Tonka trucks, remember the toys Tonka trucks?
Yeah.
This looks like if they made electric bikes.
Exactly. So fat bikes are a thing where these massive like 4-inch wide tires came out and you can ride over the beach. Oh, coffee machine's beeping. Stop beeping, coffee machine. Ignore the beeping, everybody. I just need coffee to stay awake. So essentially, it's like a hybrid. You can actually pedal it like a regular bicycle, and then it has these, like, see this little portion here that looks like where it'd be the fuel tank? That's the battery, and it has like full-blown lights and everything. And
oh yeah, it's got a fucking
so that right there's the battery for anybody that's watching. You can pedal them the whole thing. They have a massive headlight on the front, like disc brakes, the whole nine.
And that seat.
Right.
Just a big
and so
cut of foam.
and so they have a bunch of different versions of it and stuff like that. And yeah, just it's really intriguing whether it's going to be this company. Hang on a second. There we go. Dealing with whether it's going to be that company or something else, I don't know, because when I was reading that company's, it said limited for people of 6'5" in height.
Oh, they specifically point out the height.
Yeah, they specifically had a height recommendation on one of them, and I'm 7'7", so I'm like,
come on, bro.
Come on, guys. So I'm gonna but just that ideal in general, where it's like my main bit of transportation that I have to do is to my wood shop, and then like doing mail runs and stuff like that. So if I can eliminate a lot of that portion of just like, not having to pay for fuel, not having to pay for insurance.
35 miles per hour?
Yeah, they can go about 35 miles per hour because you got those big fat tires on them. That one goes to 30. This one's the smaller one.
How heavy are these then? Like, I'm curious.
That one goes up to 20 miles per hour, and that's the smaller one. Where's the big beefcake guy? Yeah,
like how much heavier than a normal bike?
Okay, sorry. This one goes range 35 miles and over, and speed 25 miles per hour.
Oh, okay.
But still, that's pretty fast, man, for a bike.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't have a fucking engine on it.
Yeah. So how heavy would these things be? Weight 60 pounds, which is like,
whoa. I was expecting at least double.
Which is like, yeah, I was just gonna say that's
like
really damn good.
Frame,
yeah,
and like those big wheels.
No, man, this was actually
that's wow.
This is one of those crazy Kickstarter companies too, where they basically
okay,
they started this thing, and then they've now actually been a company for a few years now, or something like that. And I just recently found out about them, and I'm just like, this shit's rad, man. And because I've seen variations of like electric bicycles and stuff like that. Like I know Norco has like an e-bike range or something like that now, and it's really not that desirable. To be honest, it's like,
I forget I said anything.
Yeah, I went and took a look, but I was like, yeah, that's but
in person? You saw it?
No, actually, yeah, I did see one in person at the Caps Bicycle right over there when I went to go get my appraisal on my bike that got stolen. So. Oh yeah,
so fucking you sort of mentioned that to me.
Did I never explain the full situation?
No.
So
do you have a storage here?
I moved in here and I have my own storage, which is just like a little storage locker. It's like literally a tiny storage locker. I thought I could fit like a bike in it, and like I would have to fit them like upwards, and then anyways, I crammed 2 bikes in there. I was able to get my BMX and my full suspension mountain bike that I did have in there, but I had to take the front wheel off the mountain bike, and it was a bit of a ridiculous fiasco. But yeah, it didn't last long anyways, because I think it was in the first week or 2 of being in here, all of a sudden I have another person that I know that lives in the building. I have a couple people that I know that live in the building, but buddy who lives with his dad was like, yo, like my dad's storage locker got broken into last night, like you should probably go check yours, like they stole his bike. And
so is this like the elevator chat like you guys ran into each
no
other?
he Facebook messaged me, I think it was. And so I'm like, just like sitting at my computer, just like, oh man, no way.
And you just get that fucking feeling in the pit of your stomach. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, where you just know, but you're like, and then you go, because there's multiple storage locker areas in our building. So then I go,
okay, yeah. So it's not like in the basement. They're like all just like.
Then I go, which one was it? And then he goes, and it says the exact same area that mine was. And I'm like, oh no. So yeah, I go check, sure as shit. Even though you needed a key fob to get through a gate and then to get into the storage locker or whatever.
Okay, so it's not like you just fucking hop a fence.
No, you can't just hop in. You gotta go through some shit.
Give the guard dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, yeah, here you go, man. So yeah, and walk down.
So it was an inside job.
Yes. And so we found out a bit of greasiness on the back end, where it was like, apparently somebody
they have cameras,
they don't have cameras in there. I think they do now, because this was all so early on where they started to be like, we didn't think we needed them there, and you're like, yeah, we did. My stuff's gone.
I thought the good people of fucking North Delta
right
were legit.
Yeah. So they basically went through there and only scooped up nice bikes and left everything else. And luckily, though, my BMX was down at my wood shop. And so
they just got the one.
So they just got the one. But I guess the luckiest portion of the actual situation was that I had home insurance. And I got reimbursed for all that shit. And that's how I ended up buying my new camera, my drone, and yeah, it was pretty much it. But
now, was that like a headache? Okay, even getting your bike stolen is a fucking huge headache. But how you said you had insurance, so is that like
that portion of it?
How's that process?
That was one of the easiest things I ever had to deal with, to be honest. It was just
how does that work?
I just made a phone call and they're like, "Oh, your stuff got stolen. Just like if you can find us a receipt or a photo that proved that you owned it."
Oh, like a photo of you with the bike?
Not necessarily. Because this is where it gets crazy.
Wait, so
I didn't have.
How could you prove it? If it's okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I know that it sounds a little confusing, but it was essentially just like, yeah, I couldn't find a receipt because I bought the bike so long ago, and then I started looking through my photos. I somehow didn't have a photo of the bike. And then I find this
which is super probable.
Yeah, for sure.
Take photos of shit I have.
So that's the point, is like take photos of all your shit.
You with it with the newspaper with the date, like
for sure, dude. And but I found this photo on Facebook of two of my homies riding my dad's old Goldwing. Like they're like sitting on it, pretending that they're riding it, and then buddy's on the back, like leaning over his shoulder, like hey, and like it's just the dumbest photo ever. But you can see the bike barely hanging in the background. So
wait, where did you find this photo?
On my Facebook. Like holy somebody posted shit. It that like they had like
someone else posted it.
Yeah, it's like look at us riding out in the desert or some shit, and it was them sitting on my dad's Goldwing in my garage. So I took this crazy pixelated photo. I zoomed in on the bike, and I put like a red circle around the bike with some arrows.
Like this.
And then I sent it to them. They're like, "All right, cool, check's in the mail." And that was it.
Did you have to like look up what the bike was worth, or that they
I had to. Sorry, that was the other portion of it. When I went over to Caps, I got an appraisal of what today's modern comparison would be. Because like you have to be able to replace the bike with like something of equivalent, right? If that was the route that you're going to go, or like the value of it at least. And so yeah, I sent them a picture of the receipt and that cropped photo, and they're literally they were just like, all right, cool, thanks, here's your check. Thanks for choosing. Who is it again? Bel Air Direct Insurance. I'll give him a plug on that one.
Shout out,
hell yeah! I'll give him a shout out on that one, man. That one saved my ass. And it was one of those points when I was just like so honest about it, and like I just literally wasn't worried about it in a sense, because I'm like, it's gone, right? It was so that was one of my new things, is like I'm trying to not get hung up on situations, whether they're little or big. You know what I mean? Like
especially things that are out of your control.
That's exactly it.
No matter how you react, it's not going to affect the outcome of that situation.
And that was exactly it. I'm like, it's gone.
Yeah.
So
the next step is
just move on, and I guess whatever. And then all of a sudden I was reminded a few days later, it was like, do you get home insurance? And I'm like, oh yeah, I did. And so then I was like, all right, let me look into this. And then it was I ended up having the check less than 7 days after.
That fast?
Yeah, after my bike got stolen. I had a check in like a week. Yeah, it was amazing. So like I say, I was so extremely honest about it, where like you kind of had like this weird point where you're like, man, I should have said, and you're like, nah,
should have been a fucking scoundrel.
Yeah, and you're like, no, man, that doesn't get anybody anywhere. That just goes to show you that like the karma worked itself out. It was like I was like, it'll get the thief in the long run, and then I'll get what works for me. And then it was just like, oh, here you go, instantly. Don't worry about it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was dope.
That worked out so fast.
And then now that was what literally was like able to help my vlog hop to the next level, my movie making and everything of that nature, and was like ended up getting me some awesome tools for the trade that I want to be in, you know?
So the drone you bought?
Yeah.
Have you used it?
Yes. I've not as much as I want to, obviously, because I want to be out there flying it every day.
Yeah.
But man, it's so fun.
Okay, so how sick is the fucking drone?
We'll go fly one day.
They look fucking so sick, dude.
Dude, it's so. Have you seen mine?
No.
Oh man, I'll bring it out after the podcast and show you. It's like the tiniest little freaking thing. Actually, I'll just even go grab it right now. Whoa, something to talk about.
How much was this one? Is it like super about $1,000?
Yeah.
That's kind of like the average price, hey, for like the good ones.
Well, check this shit out.
Oh, it comes in a fucking cute little satchel.
Yeah.
That's it?
This is the not only the drone, but the remote.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, it's so small. I thought it. Whoa. Well, it's heavier than I thought.
Yeah, it's still just under their. Oh yeah, I should probably talk to the mic. It's still just under. There's like a 300 grand limit. There's basically different tiers of like flight laws and stuff like that. And then
that's the camera on the front.
yeah, there's a little gimbal here.
Oh, what?
And then there's a little actual 3D sensor in here. Where this one has some of the strongest like computing technology in it for like facial recognition, obstacle awareness and stuff like that.
Okay, so when it would see people's faces, it would like make it so it's not blurry. Like it would know that it's someone's face.
No, it gets crazier than that.
What do you mean?
This drone you can actually fly without a remote or anything, because it has a bunch of palm gestures and stuff built into it. So basically, I can turn it on, do a double tap,
and you do like sign language to it, and it
essentially
switches to modes and shit.
But when I do a double tap, this little sensor bar here has a camera that scans for my face or a face.
Yeah.
Sees that there's a face, knows that, so then it knows there's a person on the other side of the drone, takes off, and will hover at a certain distance just in front of you.
Yeah.
And then you throw your palm up, and then the lights will flash, and then you can move the drone with just your palm. And you can push it backwards, push it up. You can do little.
So you give it commands.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa.
And you can be like, go like this, and it'll fly up and then follow you. So you don't even need a remote to have a drone like fly up like 30 feet behind you and start following you like a little dog.
And it's filming the whole time.
And it's filming the whole time. Or you can hook up your phone, and you can do it without the phone, or you get your phone and put it inside this remote that docks in here. And with this, you can fly it like, it's like over 1.5 miles in distance, like away from you.
From it?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. So it's, for being a tech lover like myself, it's been so much fun, let alone for like the videography point of it and in general, getting you completely different.
How's the camera quality?
This one only does 1080, but because I think that the reason, well, the standard pretty much for most drones nowadays is 4K, but I think that this one actually does film in 4K, but they need to be able to scale it down to 1080p for that to be able to actually work as stabilization, because this only has a 2-axis gimbal. Like it only can go up and down. It can't go left and right. So basically, if you think about it, they have the 4K frame is a lot bigger, and then they just have the stabilized square within it, and then they can move that around to keep the image stabilized. But yeah, it's a crazy little tool, man. Like, because it's so small, you can fly it in really small areas. So like when I went to the island and we were doing RC drifting, like little 1/10 scale remote control drifting of these like little cars and stuff like that, I was flying this like a couple feet above the ground with this filming inside the track, like just like flying around, like getting some badass footage. Oh yeah, I ended up flying it into my buddy. Yeah, I got the whole thing on my vlog. It was just like so funny. I'm like, just deck 'em. I was getting really confident with it and like getting some really badass shots, and then I just like all of a sudden like just pushed something the wrong way or something, and it just started drifting like the opposite direction, and I just kind of like let go and went and it just went yeah, and you just and him go, oh fuck.
You're like, my bad, bro.
My bad, my brother. And he's just like, it's all good, man. But damn, that kind of sucks. One. Yeah. So it was just like, maybe I should put the guards on it, because it actually has little guards that you can clip on.
So you don't fuck up the propeller.
But yeah, I mean, come on now. Guards? Who wants to wear a helmet? So yeah, it's a cool little thing, man. Crazy little toy. Cool. Crazy little tool. And so then within this bag itself, it has my 2 extra batteries. and then it fits the drone, it fits like all my other stuff. So literally you just got this like little tiny like this little satchel that's
a little camera bag,
smaller than like a lunch bag or something, that like, you know what I mean?
A lunchbox. Yeah. It's smaller than a lunchbox. Yeah.
So now like when I'm going anywhere, as far as like needing to bring my filming gear, I just basically have like, I can put everything in my backpack. Yeah. I end up having my DSLR, I have my drone, I have like my monopod, extra tripod, my gorilla tripod, and then like I still have room for other stuff. I'll still put my laptop in there and all that other shit. It's dope. So yeah, this thing's been crazy,
dude. That's so sick.
Again, definitely haven't been able to use it as much as I would like, but having this tool in my arsenal is just like on that bat belt.
Yeah, just on that bat belt. Yeah. Like you said, yeah, just that elevates your game.
Literally.
Yeah.
You know, like because I think it can go. What was it? 1,800 meters is the top altitude.
Oh,
yeah. It goes up. It goes up, man. So,
like anyone would ever need it to go that high, right?
I do.
Well, yeah, you're special.
Hey, man, I want to fly.
In a good way.
I want to fly. But yeah, that thing's been crazy, and like
I was expecting like some big shit.
Yeah. Well, they kept getting smaller and smaller. Like the Phantom, the Phantom Pro, I believe it was the big one, the big white one that had like the here, I'll just even type it in. You'll know. You'll have seen this one before, I'm sure. So the DJI Phantom was like kind of like the staple as far as
That's
drones
the same
go.
Brand, right? The
yes, DJI
okay.
is pretty much like the leader in drones as far as like commercial drones and stuff go.
Phantom. Yeah, okay, that's like what I was picturing totally.
Right. So those ones are pretty
hanging.
big. Like they're like this big, whatever. And you need a big box to carry them around. And then they've made those ones better and better. And I'll just put these on screen just for anybody that's watching. So that's the DJI Phantom drone, and they've continued to make them better and better.
Oh, look at that, the bottom left photo.
Right, attaching some like ridiculous camera. I don't think that's feasible at all.
Is that real? No, that's totally fake.
That would not balance.
That would just fucking snap off, man.
So they continued making their drones smaller and smaller, and they ended up coming out with the Mavic, which like the wings fold in, and then it ends up being about like this big.
Maverick or Mavic?
Mavic.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been better if it
right?
right?
Yeah, I was like, yes. Iceman one.
So then the Mavic was like their first leap into doing like smaller, more portable drones. So the Mavic, when folded up, essentially like
whoa, it's like
fits in the
transformer.
Yeah. So these little like wings like fold out, and it just ultimately makes for a much more portable drone, right?
It looks like fucking those like warrior drones from Phantom Menace, you know, when they
right
roll out and then they come apart like that.
And they got the badass force fields and shit.
Yeah, that's what that looks like.
And so like that thing, those ones are amazing because those will shoot in full 4K and have a 3-axis gimbal and the whole nine. And they're
so how much is that then?
That one, to get the full flight kit, like if with like extra, you want to get it. It comes with extra batteries and stuff. I think it was like $2,000. So essentially like twice as much as this one. But it does twice the thing, really, right? It's twice the drone, right?
It's faster.
Yeah. Oh, all that shit. Stronger, faster. Shoots fucking 4K, but with bigger in drones, it gets louder because it's large propellers, right? So exactly. So that was one thing I was kind of thinking about with myself, and then also budget was the big thing, but. Yeah, so then they went with that one, and then the next like 6 months later, they released this little guy, and they just keep releasing new shit. Like, most companies will worry about a lifetime cycle, like iPhone or something like that. They'll always be like, we have to wait 2 years to release, or wait a year to release the next one or whatever.
Like September when kids go back to school.
DJI doesn't give a fuck about any of that stuff. They'll be like, we just released a Phantom like 6 months ago. We got a Phantom Pro now. We got a Phantom Pro something or else. So now like they'll because they want to just keep coming up with new tech. They're like, we can do better, so why wouldn't we come up with better?
Fuck yeah.
So then it makes the other ones cheaper, and then I don't know, it's just really cool seeing a company do that. Like fuck the the scheduled thing. We can do better now, so Like I know it's pretty much going to happen. Like they're going to come out with the Spark 2 or something like within like 6 months, and it'll be like 4K, better gimbal, this whole nine, and
like, for the same price, you're like, fuck you.
Yeah, but under the same guise, what I was talking about last podcast was I'm always so excited to see the next model come out because I'm just like, it's getting that much better. Like, this one, like I said, it had obstacle avoidance. You could fly it at something and it would know to just stop. Like I could fly it as fast as I want at you, and it would just stop like a few feet away from your face.
But I mean, how like legit is that though? Is that like
it's pretty damn good,
the self-driving car, and then when the owner of the company's like, check it, I'm gonna stand in front of it,
those are my
stop, and it just
favorite videos, man.
It's like 5 times
such confidence, just like wow, I'm getting ran over now.
My femur.
It's pretty damn good. Like but what I was gonna say is they only have it in, I think it's like the front facing and downwards. They don't have backwards facing cameras yet, so like they'll continue to, like, with each model be like, oh, it can now do it frontwards and backwards, and then so.
But what about those ones where it's like these models, so it has the drone and then the camera hanging, that there's like 360 degree view ones? No, I swear I've seen that.
Yeah.
Okay, so would they have like the sensor for that or no?
No, because they use a completely different camera system for the sensors. Oh. They don't use the actual camera itself. Like on that one, remember, like on the bottom of how I showed you, there's like a little camera on the. I don't know if I showed you that, did I? On the very bottom of this, there's an actual little camera that they use for depth, for knowing how high it is off of the actual. See right here.
Oh, okay.
So they have a camera and then actual little Those are actual infrared sensors, so it doesn't need to be like. Light out or whatever, it can still bounce, whatever. So it has a bunch of like crazy technology in it, and they're getting the stuff where it's like they're fitting the crazy little supercomputers into these toys and stuff so we can film some stupid shit. But hey man, elevate the game.
It'd be sick to film some skate shit with that.
Well dude, that was what I was gonna say. This is one of those crazy full circle things. Is one of the main things that always pushed me I've always been interested in film and making movies and things of that nature, but one of my favorite things always, as far as edits and stuff, was skate videos, and how skate videos and that whole entire culture has pushed an entire movement of creating better media amongst extreme sports. The way everything is filmed, the way any pretty much the way any action sports is filmed nowadays has been like just the ante up. The ante, it's crazy, and it's been rad to watch that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and like like you said, the editing has gotten so much better. Yeah,
dude. And then with that, you get the better quality cameras, and then mixing in crazy toys like this and stuff, and like it just basically more tools. I'm not going to use the bat belt analogy again, but more tools for the creative mind to be able to like get that initial idea out of their brain, you know what I mean? Like whether it be like some crazy aerial shot that back in the day you would need like $100,000 to hire a helicopter, and then the safety regulations and this. Now you just throw up your little drone, put your controller down, let it hover there on its own, and then you go do the trick by yourself.
Dude, that's crazy. It does it on its own.
Yeah, it's so crazy, man.
That's crazy technology. Damn.
Yeah. And like there was one where I definitely got to show you Casey Neistat stuff, because I'm going to talk about him a lot. He went and filmed, remember the eclipse that just recently happened? He went to like the epicenter of it, or whatever it is, like where it's happening, like where you can where it gets the perfect totality. I forget, it was in Ohio or something like that. It was like there's a certain state where you would go and you could see perfect totality of the thing or whatever, and so everybody was flocking there. Of course, he flew out there with like all his cameras, 3 drones, and I think he had all in all like 5 cameras rolling at once, and he was doing it all himself.
Just like, so he's the dude with the fucking guitar, the harmonica,
dude,
the drum kit.
But with like Inspector Gadget type shit too, where like he has just an arsenal of like so much gadgets and shit. It's so crazy. So he like put a drone, one of his drones, straight up in the air that captured like the entire area. He set up a camera on top of like his car getting a time lapse thing. He set up another camera on top of an egg timer so it would do a time lapse that was spinning. And then
that's really clever.
Yeah, that one's dope. Like he doesn't even buy the fancy things. I'm pretty sure it was just on top of an egg timer.
DIY.
Yeah. And so then he had another camera set up that he was using like the typical vlogging setup that I use, that's the Casey Neistat setup. The Gorilla Pod with the camera and then a big shotgun mic pointing at your face. And then so there's that, and then he managed to fly another drone over top of the crowd of people. So there was all that going on at once while trying to capture it. Oh, and sorry, I forgot about the other camera that he put a pair of it was down pointing at the sun, that he taped a pair of eclipse glasses, like you know how like he taped one of those over the camera lens, and so that the camera could film the and he did all of that.
Did he make like a like an edit?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It was amazing, man. Like.
Yeah,
like
I didn't even see the eclipse. Like,
yeah, me neither. I forgot completely about it until afterwards.
I remember hearing about it, and then I was just busy.
Yeah, that shit happens, man. Well, and then that was a funny one too. I heard about it a few days before, and then I was like, "Yo, let me like look up and get some glasses."
Yeah, like the hype, right?
And then there's no glasses in stock anywhere. But yeah, it's so inspiring, like seeing somebody be able to put up that many freaking cameras and like do that much stuff on his own was just like.
Yeah, let's check this out. Does it say where it is? Why it traveled 1,000 miles.
I forget exactly where it was. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Taking the plane.
This guy, man. Just the most unflattering close-up shot.
Yeah, he's the guy, man. That's Casey. And it's like, that was one of the inspiring things too, is like when I first saw him, I was like, who's this weird looking motherfucker? And he becomes he puts in the work, obviously. Yeah. And the edits are there. But then you like see somebody like that, like just make it in the mainstream, where like we grew up in an era where you had to look, you know, you had to look perfect. A certain way and you had to look perfect to make it. And then he's just like, nah, you just have to work harder than everybody else.
He's just a normal guy.
Yeah.
I think he yeah, right there. Let's throw this out. Show the people at home.
Look who's here! You found him! Little brother.
That's his brother.
You didn't bring special glasses? You? Yeah, of course.
Oh, I fucking love Casey.
Isn't that incredible? That is really
my computer reminding me to edit the vlog. Okay, so here you go. Watch this edit. Throws the camera up.
Shit.
Throws the drone up over top the entire scene. Crazy bird's eye view action.
That's so high.
It's hard to explain what this is like right now. It's like a weird darkness, right?
So there's the egg timer.
Yo, I like that. That's a good idea.
Right?
So close.
Yeah.
It's like
totality.
Totality.
That sounds like the name of like a fucking Terminator movie.
Right? Terminator Totality. So he ended up capturing like an amazing shot of like the actual eclipse happening, because you got that the glasses taped over it. The egg timer time lapse. The overhead bird's eye.
Whoa.
So crazy, right? Like, and then he'll get there's the drone flying over everybody, and this is all at once. Like he's like threw that up, film this, do that.
He's juggling all this.
Yeah, dude. He just like knew that he could trust certain cameras, certain places. Look, see there, he just puts the remote down.
He's so hyped, eh?
Yeah.
Total totality.
Gotta see this.
Look at that shot though, eh?
Let's see, freeze framed it.
Yeah. No, he just did a little speed up.
Damn. Oh, that's so cool right there. Yeah. You could almost see that little ring.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an eclectic man, dude. He
Okay, that was
He busts ass.
What's this guy's like story? Because I've seen him like on random stuff doing like reviews or people will repost
right.
I don't really like, I don't know any backstory on him or like what.
Well, okay, there's a lot to it, but essentially the basics of it is like he was always an aspiring filmmaker, but had a first kid extremely young, to the point where he had to drop out of high school at like whatever, 16? Like 16, 17 years old or whatever. And I think it was always his dream to move to New York. But basically he was like busting ass as a dishwasher to be able to pay for his kid after he dropped out of high school, and a whole bunch of crazy shit like that. And I believe it was from he got hit when he was on his bike and he ended up getting some insurance money. And basically that he took that little bit of insurance money and invested it into an iMac and started learning how to edit video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so he went crazy with that, and like him and his brother are always into film and shit like that. And then they went crazy with this, and then they used that iMac on iMovie because it was free. And they just busted ass with it.
Use the tools you got.
Right? Use the tools that you got. They ended up getting a show on HBO, which was essentially what his vlog is. It was essentially
from these edits he'd make.
Yeah, because he would just make these little movies and stuff, put them up on the internet before there was even YouTube. Like he would just make movies of just random shit.
What?
Yeah, and
HBO fucking.
And then HBO hopped on, and I don't remember if HBO was before or after his Bike Lanes movie. I think it might have been after his Bike Lanes movie. No, okay, his first movie that blew up. Do you remember? I'll actually quickly look it up, but he did this movie talking about when the first iPod came out, and you remember they had those campaigns where it was just like a green background and a white person. Yeah, with just a white silhouette of a person, and like you could see like the headphones and then that little iPod in their hand. Well, that era when he first got that iPod, he like used it so much to the point where the battery just like wouldn't charge anymore, and it was no mas battery no mas.
Yeah.
And he contacted Apple, and they said that they wouldn't replace the battery under warranty or something like that, or I forget the
for one iPod.
Yeah, it was like I don't remember the exact logistics of it, whether it was the time frame or whatever. So he ended up making this video where he went around to all these ads and would spray paint this disclaimer on their ads saying caution, won't replace faulty batteries, and this whole thing. And it blew up like huge. Like,
so he made an edit of him doing that.
Where is it? Yeah, so he made this like little like viral movie, iPod's Dirty Secret, in 2003. And so basically his edits were just like this flash frame, like interesting edit style with all these over the head shots and like just like self-narrated stuff. And it was like, I don't know, it was its own style. And that was the kind of stuff that started getting him noticed. It was like these little videos like that he was posting up before there was even YouTube. There were viral videos before there was even viral videos.
What did people use before YouTube? It's hard to even
there was like remember you'd find random sites like eBombs World and like stuff like that where there would be just like little pools
like
of video.
Anything and everything, right?
Yeah. So in this edit, it starts off and it's showing him like cutting out all these like little letters and cutting out his own stencil because it's a spray paint stencil, right?
Yeah.
So he does the whole thing, and
it's a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Of course, now he has it set up where.
But I mean, he's
doing
obviously choked.
Yeah. So he goes around, he makes this edit, and he's spray painting on all the signs. I forget exactly what it says. iPod. Anyways, just essentially saying that their batteries were deficient and they wouldn't do it, and this whole thing blew up. And I'm pretty positive this is what got him noticed.
He's basically doing like just street art. He's doing like kind of like cause shit, where he was for real fuck with an existing ad.
Yeah. So you wanted to make a statement within like the actual culture itself because that advertisement was so huge at the time. Yeah, there you go. The replaceable battery only lasts 18 months. So after 18 months, they wouldn't replace your battery anymore.
A public service announcement.
So he gets, see, that was the Nice Dad Brothers. Him and his brother were making the movies at the time.
Okay, so they were doing edits like this.
Yeah, and that was what got him noticed by HBO. And then HBO let him. They had an HBO
Out of
show
all the
for,
people to notice.
Yeah.
HBO. Like,
and then so he's gone on to have campaigns with Nike, Mercedes, like just like some really, really huge ads. And then he would do all these, so he already had like a big internet following and stuff like that, like making these really interesting movies, right? And then he just kind of was like, oh, I'm gonna finally do this daily vlogging thing. And he hopped in like nobody else had ever done, because everybody always would do these just like mashed up, this clip, that clip, this is what happened, this would happen. And he was like the first person to make him like daily movies. You know what I mean? Like you put a camera down and have him walking out of here, and then like it would be all the angles you would see in a movie of like that door, you know, being opened by the hand, and then the flash. Shit. Yeah, dude, all that crazy shit that you know all of us vloggers try to emulate now. And yeah, it just blew up like crazy. He did his vlog for, I was like a couple years or some shit, and then started up a social media company called Beam, which had his own social media app that was like how to share like videos, but like instantly. And he came up with their own technology behind it that was utilized the sensor on your phone that knows when it's being held against your face to turn the screen off so that you don't mash the buttons. It utilized that so that when you would hold the phone to your chest or anything to cover that sensor, it would instantly start recording. And as soon as you pulled it away from wherever it was, it would automatically post it before you could look at it, before you could put a filter on it, before you could
before you could fuck with it.
Yeah, before you could take that 20 minutes to put a filter on your fucking selfie and get all narcissistic with your bullshit rather than just sharing content.
Right.
So it was a brilliant idea, and I was a big part of it when it first started. And then it just kind of, I mean, you can't compete with your Snapchats and Instagrams and shit, right? So they just didn't have the funding, but they had built an amazing company that had like just amazing people in it. They could do shit. Like they built this app from the ground up with new technology and shit. So CNN was like,
holy shit, dude, this guy.
Yeah. So, and meanwhile, his vlogs are doing like 3.5 million to 4 million views on average every day. So he's like up to like 8 million subscribers now on YouTube. One of like the most prolific YouTubers. So that's now like teamed up, like Samsung sponsors him and like all this crazy shit. And CNN ended up buying his company, not outright, buying his company for $25 million, but still working with the Beam team to now create their new like news show.
So basically they bought in to just be able to use it. Yeah,
to be able to, well, they ousted the app. The app's done, but they want to be able to use the team.
The team.
Yeah. So they bought the team. And now they've got their own
CNN.
Yeah. Oh. So now they have their own like YouTube show called Beam News, which is actually really dope. And it's just been interesting to watch the whole thing over a matter of like a few years, just watching it, because I found into it and I started watching his vlogs after he did like, I don't know, like I started watching after his like 10th vlog or something like that. And then it just,
now he's like, who knows where it's at.
Oh, it's insane, man. One of the craziest progressions of people in general. Oh,
the come up, man.
Oh yeah, dude. And like so inspiring. You know what I mean? Like fucking
that Apple thing, 2003.
Yeah. And he's just been grinding.
Shit,
yeah. And like, I mean, there's so much more in-depth stuff like behind the scenes on his story, obviously, but like that's just like the basic gist of it. And it's like, I take a lot of inspiration from him in life, just from like all the little, like where he's like had all of the downfalls, everything worked against him, and he's just like, nah, I can just outwork it. How about that?
Nah, B.
Yeah.
Not about that.
Exactly. And that's
it just shows the persistence, right?
Exactly. You know, you find something that you want to do and you stick to it. And like, this is the most important part though, is that you work harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You can be good at some shit, or you can even not be good at some shit. You can not even have the talent. And this is the one thing that he always dabbles on, is that you don't necessarily have to be as talented as everybody else, have the good looks as everybody else, be born with all the money as everyone else, but you can outwork everybody, right? So
you can. It's like, yeah, out of those things, right? It's like,
Yeah.
what can you control?
exactly, you can choose your work ethic and like how hard you want to push towards something, how bad you want it.
Yeah.
So yeah, like that for myself over the last while has just been like one of the big flames. It's just like, you know, down to some of his little shit. He'll be like, he'll think that you can replace an hour of sleep with an hour of exercise, and you'll be better off.
And you'll be better off.
Yeah, or not necessarily like in the long run, but you know what I mean. You'll feel better in the time, and you'll actually get shit done.
Get up and moving, get hyped up to go do something, right? Versus just fucking vegging out.
Yeah, exactly. Because shit's not gonna get done if you don't. If you just sit around.
That's for damn sure.
Right? You know, I'll get to it. It'll get done, right?
Yeah.
No. Especially
like,
if it's new shit and you got to figure it out and you got to learn.
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so easy to fucking procrastinate, right?
Oh, for sure, dude.
Yeah.
So it's finding people like that are like, it's so funny how like the inspiration can be like fuel. Like it's just like, it just drips off. You can just like watch one of their edits or videos and just be like, shit, I suck.
Yeah.
I don't work hard enough. You know?
Well, it's like, it's that power motivation, right? That we're talking about, where it's like, you see, like, this guy's obviously crazy driven.
Oh yeah.
That it's
bizarre. Yeah.
Right? That you're like, fuck, man. You're like, I'm gonna get up right now.
Yeah.
Right?
You're just like, man, I'm not doing shit.
Yeah.
This guy's like already ran like however many miles and then doing this and then ran his company. Dude, and then goes and picks up his kid and then like
another person that's like crazy nonstop like that is the fucking Rock.
Oh my
god, do you follow him on
I don't
media?
follow him, but like I follow him. You know what I mean? Like I don't subscribe to his stuff, but every once in a while I just go look just to be like, how crazy is this nowadays?
Dude, he's like, first off, like one of the busiest people like ever. Like between like,
anytime he makes like a video of himself being like, "Hey, there's The Rock," there's just like so much going on behind him, and it's
he's
just like
filming photo
somebody's
shoots.
like fixing his suit and shit, and you're just like,
dude,
what
he's doing
the
so much
fuck?
shit, and then he'll be like, he'll go back to like his hotel or something, then he'll just go to the gym.
Yeah.
And he's like,
hey, he wakes up
early,
every morning at like
grinding.
4:30 in the morning to go to the gym every day.
Dude. Yeah. If you ever feel like a piece of shit, like just watch one of his videos where he's in the gym or something. He's like, what are you doing right now? He's like, this is the time where I'm at. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Just saying.
That's just so
Right?
ridiculous, man.
And you're like, fuck, man. You're like,
did you hear about
right.
the recent shit with him where they're doing a Fast and the Furious spinoff with The Rock, but without everybody else? And Tyrone is just like losing his shit.
It's the Scorpion King.
Yeah.
Of Fast and the Furious.
100%.
Oh my god.
Where they're just like Brandon Fraser. Was it Brandon Fraser? That was the original
Mummy.
in the original Mummy?
Yeah.
And then they're just like, no. We got The Rock now.
Yeah. They're like, we see some potential in this.
Yeah. So it was the same kind of shit. And then like there was like some big like crazy tweet wars going on where Tyrone's just all butthurt about it. Just
yeah, fuck. Yeah. I actually did hear something about
so
that.
funny, man. Because it's like, I can kind of get it on both ends. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine like that was like your only like movie series that you're actually known for?
And every time one comes out, it fucking just breaks the internet, you know, and breaks the box office.
Yeah. And then they're just like
you're kind of like low key counting on that, right? So now it's
especially him. I don't know if you've ever seen the way that he lives. He lives like fucking Sultan style, man. Like where he'll be wearing like the full fucking like he spends like he spends a lot of time in Dubai and shit like that. And so like I mean if you're living around people like that, you're spending some money.
Just to do normal shit with them. You're spending
dude. Yeah. That's just so crazy. Like you hear about like they have levels of richness over there where they have like depending on where you are and how much oil money you have, you'll have different license plates to be like, this guy is a prince.
Oh, okay, so here we have like veteran license plates.
This guy's a fucking king.
If it's like gold letters, you're like, oh, you know,
his
status.
I was hearing about that. It's just so crazy. What a way to flex. Where they'll bid, they'll have bidding wars flexing on license plates with the lowest number on them, where license plates will go for millions of dollars. Because if you can have like this certain
I got 0001.
I got
the first one,
and it's fucking gold. or something, right? It's so crazy. So when you have that much money,
Interesting.
right? And everybody else has Ferraris and all these other things. What's the biggest way to flex? Is the lowest number on your fucking license plate.
What? That's
weird, right?
That's weird.
And so like, yeah, a license plate is a big status symbol. Like, yeah, there's just some interesting things like that. Obviously, you go further into that culture, and there's obviously some very interesting things, but just stuff like that, you hear about it with like when money gets on a certain level.
Yeah, because I mean, like here, and like that wouldn't. I couldn't see that being a thing at all.
No, because it's like it's even the
like,
when you see customized license plates over here, you don't think, oh, that guy's got money.
No, even though he has to pay, like you have to pay monthly for that too. Don't you?
Yeah. And they're usually so bad too.
Fuck. They're always just people's last names.
Yep. Or like fucking number 1 G or something.
Ass man.
Ass man. That's one of my favorite Seinfeld episodes, man. And like I don't know if you're fully aware, but like Seinfeld is my favorite show of all time.
Is that okay?
100%. Like,
what about Curb Your Enthusiasm?
That's number
shit?
2. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So good.
Have you seen the previews for season 9?
I haven't seen the previews now, but
I just watched one. Was it today or yesterday? I think it was yesterday.
They got multiple ones.
Yeah, there's a bunch of just like little
teaser clips.
Yeah, little teaser clips. And there was one where he's making a bet with Leon. You remember Leon? Yeah, of course, I remember Leon. Leon's talking about. He's like, Larry, my dick's so big. I hit the water in the toilet every time when I sit down. Larry's just like, there's no way the tip of your dick.
He would totally do that.
Yeah,
there's no
way it hits the water. And he's like, you want to make a bet? And so I bet $1,000 the tip of my dick hit the water every time. And so they make the bet, and then they go to the bathroom, and then Larry goes, okay, you got your phone? Okay, go in there and take a picture, of the tip in the water. And then he's like, all right, Larry. And then Larry's walking out, and he goes, wait a minute. He goes back and flips up the toilet seat, and he's like, you filled it up. You filled it up with water. I win. And I was just like, okay, I'm glad I watched that.
And that's a total fucking scenario that would happen in that show.
God, it's the greatest,
dude.
Like,
so it's so good. It's so fucking relatable, dude. It's hilarious.
It's the shit that like you would think about in your head, but never would ever think about doing in a million years.
Or like shit that you've experienced, and you just haven't brought it up to someone, and then all of a sudden you're watching the episode, and then something you've experienced is in that, and you're like, holy shit, like.
Oh man, it's one of the few shows where I've ever been just on the edge of the seat yelling at the main character like, don't do that, Larry. And then like I want to keep watching it, dude.
And I love like how full circle those episodes are when something
the writing is just
something will be introduced, and then you get like 20 minutes of the episode.
Oh, it's just the building point of the entire joke.
You forget about something that happened in the beginning, and then it fucking hits you at the end. They'll bring that scenario back in.
That's the Seinfeld writing right there, where it's just like they can cram like so many jokes in it nonstop, just rapid fire. The writing is like, it was like what they were talking about on this podcast I was listening to the other day. It was just a simple fact how Greg Fitzsimmons used to write for a lot of TV shows. And he was saying that like
he's a comedian for the people.
Yes, anybody's not paying attention. He's a comedian, and he's also like written for lots of comedians, lots of comic shows.
He's ghostwriter.
Yeah, he's a ghostwriter.
Craziest freestyles.
And it just simply brought up the point that like you can get away with a lot of things in certain scripts, but when it came to like cartoons, when you can't have the inflection of the actual character, like the writing has to be gold, and that's why Disney movies like have bulletproof scripts. And it's just like, and it's true, right? They have all the rise and falls, and like the certain protagonist, the antagonist, and like it's building a proper story. Beats, yeah. So it's interesting to take a look at that on the grand scale of it. But I don't remember where I was going with that now.
Specifically brought up Greg Fitzsimmons for that writing style, Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yep. Don't remember where I was going.
The writing style of Curb.
Oh yeah, it's just simply saying that it's like, it's so beautiful. like how well built the writing is. Like in the writing room, even of Seinfeld, apparently the reason why those episodes are so goddamn good from front to back. On Seinfeld, yeah. Okay. This is what would translate into Curb Your Enthusiasm, actually. But was when they were at the writing table for Seinfeld, they would like, you know, write up their scripts, the whole thing, and then they would sit down to do their table reads like again and again, and they would make sure. Well, they would add shit and take away certain shit and fix stuff to make sure that every single line that like had a comedic punch to it would make the entire table laugh. And if it didn't, they'd be like, why didn't that line make people laugh? Why didn't you laugh from that? Let's restructure that. Yeah.
They'd go that.
They would make sure that every like joke that was supposed to be funny would make the entire crew laugh. And if it didn't, we would make it. And then they would go back and rewrite it. So it was like everything had to be gold. Nothing could be half-assed.
Doesn't seem like shows are like that though.
No.
They obviously gave a lot of fucks.
Oh goddamn!
Put in the time to figure that shit
out. Yeah.
Where
Larry and Jerry spent just countless hours in the writing rooms and just like
we're like
slaving over the craft that is comedy.
It would seem they just want something fast.
Right,
that quick hit, like
for sure,
it's gonna make the
2.5 Men style shit, track,
right? You know, yeah,
totally. Just slap together. We got a joke, and then like a little bit of naughty humor,
right,
and then another, and then we got one actual funny joke. You know what I mean? Where it's like, no, if we're gonna put jokes in there, you have to respect the joke. You know,
straight up.
So
I guess when you have comedians involved, in comedic writing, right?
Well, Jerry is just such like, I mean, anytime you see an interview with him, he's just like the biggest fan of comedy. His like that's his hobby, that's his love, that's his passion, that's his life. Where he just loves comedy. He loves the construction of jokes. You know what I mean? So seeing that translate into
especially the jokey jokes.
Yeah.
Like he loves it all.
Because to him, that's like the funny of it, right? It's like the classic constructing a joke.
Yeah, those like the fucking one hitters, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I always just love looking at the back end and stuff like that. But then when you got to see that translate further into Curb, where they maybe got to do stuff a little more over the top or just kind of go a bit more Larry with it, and it was so basically, if you haven't watched Seinfeld, let alone Curb Your Enthusiasm,
so many people onto Curb,
y'all better start watching.
And like when you like get to know people like or friends of yours or whatever, and you know their personalities, right? And then I've had this where just through conversation it's come up and I'm like, man, Curb, and they're like, what's that? And I'm like, dude.
And then the funny one too,
what you're doing, like it would be so tailored to you.
Yeah. Or when you find the person that loves Seinfeld but hasn't watched Curb or doesn't know what Curb is, and you're like, let me explain to you that
he's the reason.
And then you have to go down the rabbit hole of telling him that, well, I guess I'll tell anybody that's listening or watching this is that if you didn't know, George Costanza
is Larry David.
That was just basically him playing his most shameless Larry David impersonation. And it was just it's so gold. So when you start watching Curb, you're just like, I
remember hearing too, I don't know if this is factual or not, but that a lot of those scenarios that George was in actually happened. David.
I was watching one of the things where it was like, where it was like Jason Alexander would be like,
true, or like for the
I don't know.
part?
I think I don't think they're all true.
Right. Okay.
Some of them probably embellished or whatever, but I think there's a lot of them that are true. Like there's
straight up happened.
That's just a situation that happened to Larry, and he's just like, that's how it happened. And there's one where it was like a behind the scenes thing, and Jason Alexander's asking Larry like, there's no way anybody would react like this.
I remember hearing about that.
Like there's
he's like,
no, that happened to me, and that's exactly the way I reacted. And I think that was like the turning point when Jason Alexander's like,
it's like, holy shit.
Oh,
I get it.
I just have to play you. And there we go. That ends up into one of the most iconic shows of all time. Like,
but it's like
longest running sitcoms, I think.
Seinfeld, you're talking about?
Yeah.
Well, dude, fuck. How many seasons?
Was it? I think it was 9. I should know this, being the Seinfeld fanatic that I am. But the crazy thing is one of the few shows It wasn't canceled, wasn't anything of that nature. They quit when it was at the height of its popularity. He was just like, ended on a high note. It was like, all right.
Retired a champion.
Thank you. Good night.
Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
Like, just like that, right?
Oh man, I should probably do this in Google. Seinfeld. There is 9 seasons.
9 seasons.
Yeah, dude. Such a crazy iconic show.
Dude, so classic.
Well, the one that most people don't know, I don't know if you're aware of this, is that Elaine, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, is actually a millionaire, like a beyond millionaire. Her dad's a billionaire and owns an oil company. And she had that crazy amount.
What's his license plate say?
How low is his number? She had that crazy amount of money when she worked on Seinfeld. So she was rich as fuck then. She just was liked acting and was into the whole thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also, like, on top of that too, she had 2 kids and was pregnant twice during the filming of Seinfeld.
I don't know if I fucking noticed that.
Yeah, like, no, they never made Elaine pregnant. They ended up hiding it under the wraps, where like they would always have Elaine either in baggier clothing or like holding a pillow in front of her or some shit like this when she's on the couch.
I need to find out like when this happened and what season.
Twice.
And then like
you'll watch it again.
Spot it.
Yeah, dude. I ended up finding that out, and then when I did the rewatch, it was trippy. All of a sudden, you see her in these like.
Did you notice?
Yep. Yeah, you'd be able to like see these like baggier like jean shirts
like,
and shit of the 90s.
Noticing
and
the clothing and her holding shit, like, could you actually see?
They were really good about it.
Really?
They were really fucking good about it. Yeah.
I had no fucking idea.
I had no idea
I've
for like the first like decades that I watched that show, and then all of a sudden like I found out, I don't know, whatever, like 6 years ago or something. Yeah. Once YouTube's around and shit, right? You start watching all these behind the scenes stuff, and it's just like, she's just like, yeah, I had 2 kids during the filming of Seinfeld. And you're just like, what the hell?
Dude, shouts out.
Yo, like props.
Yeah.
And she's still to the day, like, she's fit. She keeps good care of herself.
Lately, but she doesn't. Didn't she have like a weird random sitcom last couple of years?
Oh yeah. She totally did.
Like Julia, one of those ones where it's like named after herself.
What was that?
For sure, yeah.
I don't remember what it was, but
I definitely remember seeing something.
I just saw
on like one of those random channels, you know.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus has a net worth estimated at $3.4 billion.
Capital B.
Yeah, we're talking B's, my friend.
And that's
in 2006. So she has more than that now.
Holy shit.
Yeah. How crazy is that? So I usually overshoot numbers, and I was way under on that one.
She's like is so chill about.
Yeah.
You never would have thought.
Never.
She doesn't flaunt shit, really.
And she kept it together, man. She kept it together well.
She looks like, throw this up on the screen. This is one. It's like go to that third photo. She looks like she'd be like the campaign spokeswoman for like Bowflex. You know, there's always that like woman in her mid 50s or something that's just
no shit. Just like, look how crazy like, fit I am.
Yeah.
This is how good you can look when you have $3.4 billion.
Holy shit.
Like, that's 2017, dude. Look how fucking good she looks, right? Amazing. And she's had like 4 kids probably now. Let's be honest.
Let's be honest.
When somebody like that's already had 2 kids in the 90s, they're probably having a couple more. But yeah, that one's
Julia. Wow.
Much more respect for her, man. Not only was she ever my like one of my favorite characters on there because she was like one of the strongest actors on there.
Yes, yeah,
or actresses, I should say. But she was, you know, everybody else on there had terribly lacking acting skills, and that's what made it so good. Was that when you'd see the little like smirk on Jerry's face because he just was the worst actor in the world. But like,
those are the best when it's like those kitchen scenes, right?
Yes.
And someone would say something, and you would, like you said, you would see that smirk, and he would turn like his back to the camera to like get the fucking cereal, you know, and you could see his shoulders moving because he knew he was just laughing,
chuckling away or some shit.
Yeah. We'd hide
man,
his
that was so
face.
great. Just trying to make everybody else break. And there's actually a bunch of stuff
That's
like
gotta be
that.
half the fun though with filming those shows. It's
Oh, dude.
trying to get people to fucking
For
break
sure.
character, right?
But the funny thing is there's actually a bunch of video bloopers of Michael Richards, Kramer. He was so into his character that he would get angry whenever other people
Would break
character and start
when they're
laughing.
not filming?
Yeah. Like when they'd be filming a thing and some people would start laughing like in the
I
midst
see.
of his lines, and then they have to reshoot. He'd be like, come on. Like, okay. Like, get it together. And like you'd start like roughhousing people a little bit, like, and like just trying
He's like, I'm in the flow state right now.
Yeah. So that was a big part of it, right? So he would be so in the character, but him being so in the character would make everybody else laugh. And there's just like
they're like having fun with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, come on, man.
It was so funny, but just like he just gets so worked up. Like, I love seeing that shit though. And I think that happens though when you're so into a show or music or anything of that nature, but then you get to see a bit more of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
And get that relatable aspect.
And you're like, oh yeah, they're just people.
Yeah, with $3.4 billion. Dude, what's Seinfeld's worth nowadays? Like, because that's one of the longest running syndicated shows or some shit like that.
Next to like The Simpsons.
Or
dude, isn't The Simpsons in like fucking 20 something seasons?
Seinfeld's annual income was 32 million
annual income
in 2013.
How do they get that information?
Yeah, they just make it up. Who fucking knows?
Right?
Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld net worth approximately $920 million. That's a whole lot of hooch. Dude, look at this shit. It's sponsoring those bikes that we were just looking at.
What?
That's so fucked up.
The fucking algorithm.
And then what's the other one? Surrey casino expert analyzes something. It's like, dude, we're fuck off. We don't want to go to Surrey casino.
Surrey casino. You're like, yeah.
Oh man. Well, dude, like, oh man, the whole money thing in general is just so crazy. Like,
shit.
Some people just like don't. Well, I don't know. How should I put this?
How should you put this?
Well, what I'm really trying to say is that like I love seeing when it doesn't hold people back from like being people and wanting to create shit. You know what I mean? Like
the money aspect.
Yeah, that they're rich as fuck. You know what I mean? Like they're not just like in it for the money.
They just like retire, buy an island.
Yeah, dude.
But they're like
the Elon Musk situation where it was like he had a stock in PayPal before PayPal got bought out by eBay. And when eBay bought it out, his 11% in stock turned into $165 million. And he was only 21 years old. So,
holy shit.
So you think that any 21-year-old gets $165 million, you're going to be like, yeah, I'm done.
Yeah, I'm going to buy some fucking
No.
ridiculous shit.
What did Elon Musk wanted to do? He wanted to build a rocket to fly to Mars with a greenhouse on it full of plants that he would land on Mars to grow an ecosystem. So he invested his $165 million into being able to create that happen.
What is that? The Martian? That movie?
Yeah,
basically.
Pretty much, right? What do they call that? Terraforming? Yeah. So he essentially wanted to terraform Mars, and then he found out that $165 million wasn't enough money to do that because rocket launches cost crazy amounts of money.
Yeah, the fuel it would cost. Right?
Yeah, it was
like
the fuel,
stupid.
and then the parts just and everything needed and launching, and then so he got into in
Bitcoin.
No, he was
flipped his money.
He was smart as fuck with economics and basically understood that the parts needed to be made to make this rocket were being sold by somebody else, so they had to mark them up, and then those parts were being sold to those persons, so they had to be marked up, so that those parts had been marked up 3 times to the point to where he would actually have to buy them. So understanding economics the way he did, he just went, why don't I manufacture the products?
Shit.
So then he starts doing all this crazy shit with like SpaceX and all these other programs, and then coming up with Tesla. And Tesla ended up becoming a public company where he ended up allowing investors into it and the whole thing, right? To be able to control the whole thing. And then with his understanding of economics again, he started going, okay, we're going to make the first electric car, but it's going to be like $200,000. But with the funding of that, that's going to lead us to be able to make $80,000 car.
So
and
like
then
whatever he's doing, he's just going to reinvest it back within his
exactly
original plan.
Yeah. And to the point where now he has all of his factories and stuff under like the same kind of houses to cut crazy amounts of costs and all these other things. So he basically, it was kind of like what I was telling you with even like, unlike when I was like looking far into the future of what I want to do with this podcast. And I was like, yo, no, you find out where you want to be and you literally just like work backwards. And like, that's fucking Tesla on the craziest level. Like, I mean, Elon. And like he's the shit. Every time I look into it, that guy just blows my brain, dude.
Okay, so 21. How old is he now?
I think he's like 40, 39 or something. And fucking Elon Musk.
Excuse me.
No,
He's just fucking killing the game right now, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah, it's 46 right now.
46. So 21, dude. He's been putting in work, man.
Dude, he's worth
20.5 billion.
He's worth 20.5 billion dollars, people, and that shit's just growing, and that's ever going to be reinvested into like just making the world a better place. That's so fucking awesome.
Straight up, man.
And like all of his Tesla patents are open source, meaning that anybody can have access onto how, like, I don't know if you know what open source means, but it's essentially that the patents are available to anybody and you're allowed to use them within your own manufacturing as long as you keep the patents open source and you add something to it to make it better.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So that's the only way you can use it. So it's just like, yo, and he said in interviews, he's like, if you had power to change the world, would you just keep it to yourself? Or would you share it with everybody? And he's already saying,
it sounds like too good to be true, though.
I know, right? But dude, I read something today where he's already saying we're going to be going to and from Mars by 2024. 2024. So soon, bro.
Okay, but the initial flight that he wants to do there, wasn't it like a one-way ticket?
The initial, yeah, but that's not his plan. That's just part of the plan.
So when's that one supposed to be? So if they're in back 2024, what's the like? I wonder what the.
I don't even know. Yeah, friggin'. But he was just like I didn't. It was one of those ones where I just kind of like glanced over the article, but it was just like Musk says we're going to Mars by 2024, and it's gonna be a regular thing.
Like a chartered.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is though, with the SpaceX program, he's kept it as his like brainchild, where that one isn't a public company, where he just wants to invest into it and make it its own like ecosystem and grow off of its own, and it's just like his brainchild. Like he just wants to make it happen. He doesn't care if the investors are there. He's just investing his money like a freaking savage, to the point where the only thing that's like that they're not manufacturing on the Tesla end of stuff right now is their batteries, and they've already built a massive plant in conjunction with Panasonic, I believe it was, to start manufacturing their batteries. So to be able to take the batteries from like a $10,000 cost down to about $100 cost. So eventually the whole plan is to have like a $2,000 to $5,000.
10,000 to 100.
Yeah.
What?
So eventually the plan is to be able to have like electric cars that are available for like $2,000 to $5,000. So, yeah, bye.
He gets the fucking,
well done. And then he goes and gets married for the third time without a prenup, which to a supermodel that was
half his age,
that had recently taken money from somebody else too.
No.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. He's human.
Dude.
He's human just like the rest of us.
No, bro.
I don't know if that relationship's still together even.
You said marriage.
Yeah, he got married.
Third marriage?
I think so. The latest one confirmed split. So who knows?
What?
Yeah, and there's all this shit where he's always going after these hot supermodel chicks. Like, look at that.
Well, I doubt it's him going after. They're probably just fucking.
Well, it's what he lets in. You know what I'm saying?
Lets in, yeah.
It's so bizarre, dude. Yeah, so like when you're that smart, you still see somebody just think with their dick.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're so smart. How could you be so dumb?
How can you not calculate that you might need a prenup? Or maybe he just doesn't fucking care. He just knows it's just money and he'll make another 20 billion.
Could be.
Maybe. I don't know. He's just really trustworthy.
Dude.
Oh man, I remember when I heard that one for the first time, I was like, what?
Dude, he's got to have like people in his camp that are like, trust me, you need to do this. Like, what you're doing, like, think about it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
he's
man.
got to have people like all day, you know?
And I didn't even know he was worth 20.5 billion when I heard that. I knew it wasn't a good idea. Yeah, it's just crazy. But yay, man.
That's just like a number that's so high. It's
You
just like it becomes
keep doing your thing, Elon.
you
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
You're like, what's the difference between 5 and 20? You're like, you know, like fucking.
Yeah, that shit's nuts, man. I saw a thing that like tried to illustrate that once, where a guy had like a Word document open and then like wrote down like a million, like 1000, comma 0000000, or like with the amount of zeros it would be,
Yeah.
and then copied it over and over again so that this chunk would now equal $1 million. So it would be like 100, or
So
you know what I mean?
See
so you could visually see the amount of
number.
zeros.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see.
And then he would stack them up in the page, and his whole thing was trying to prove what it would be like to be that rich and to like just lose $100,000. And then he'd scroll through it and you wouldn't even be able to notice that 100 grand was gone.
Yeah.
And then he'd remove like $1 million and you still wouldn't even be able to tell that it was gone.
Well, if you're worth that much and you lose 100 grand, the difference, it's like, to us is
Yeah.
$10.
Oh yeah, for sure.
$1.
Well, I heard this
10
one thing one
cents.
time where it was
You know what I
like,
mean? Like,
Bill Gates'
Like,
time
whatever.
is so valuable that if he dropped like $40,000, it wouldn't be worth his time to stop and pick it up.
insert the record scratch.
What?
His time
It's
is-
like 7 seconds to pick up, not even like 5 seconds to pick up your
Well,
fucking.
I mean, is it like 52 pickup where they just poof and it explodes? Because
No, I think it was straight up just like a check or
stack.
something. Yeah, it's like,
A
oh,
check.
you know, I just dropped this. I just have to bend over and pick
Just
it up.
one
I have to
lump sum.
stop this walking forward, pick it up, put it in my pocket. Yeah, it's not worth it.
how can that be? That's
Just based
crazy.
off of how much time or how much money he makes per minute and shit.
It's crazy when it's put into like
Yeah.
perspective
Yeah.
like that. Like,
Fuck,
Or
man.
it would have to be put into a scenario like that.
Yeah, yeah.
For us to understand.
And I think that was exactly the point of that. Is just being like, we don't have a clue
It's
of
like,
how
okay,
much
how can I
money.
explain this to you?
Yeah.
If I dropped, right?
Whereas we're like, any
X
of us are like,
amount.
oh, sick, a freaking nickel.
You're like, a quarter.
A quarter. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
You find $5 and you're just like, come up. Like, boys eating good today.
You're like, shit, I'm upsizing my meal, dog.
Right?
Yeah.
Fucking don't have to eat samosas today. I can go get an actual sandwich.
Sandwich. Bitch.
Yeah, that's just crazy, man. When you get into that certain levels of money where it's comic book, you know?
That it's like, now is it just beyond a tax bracket at that
Yeah,
point?
yeah. When
It's
you just
like,
become like Wesley Snipes and you're like, man, I'm so rich, I ain't need to pay no taxes.
dude, like,
And then he goes to jail.
yeah, his deal.
Oh man, that shit was funny. I think he just listened to the wrong person or something, apparently. They're just like, nah, you're good, man. He's like, I'm good. And you're like, yeah, you're good.
I'm good, right?
Yeah, you're good, man.
You checked, right?
Nah, don't worry. I haven't paid him. I've been fine.
Yeah,
I've been
you're
fine.
Good, you're good.
Fuck, that's crazy,
Boom,
dude.
Kicks his door in.
What? I'm Blade. Can't send me to jail?
Yeah. What?
Fuck.
Jeez, man.
Oh, man. Well, we have some random ass tangents in there. That's for damn sure.
Right? Yeah. Fucking Seinfeld.
A little Curb Your Enthusiasm action. Well, I think those two are usually going to go hand in hand. Frick, we talk from skate culture and filming to frickin' drone tech.
Drone tech.
Jeez. I don't even remember what else. We talked about a bunch of shit. Fuck. We're going to start putting together, or we have been starting to put together a bunch of ideas for like segments and things that we want to do within the podcast itself.
Yeah.
We're going to, like, because I guess we're starting to schedule.
Should we mention it yet?
I don't think we'll give them, we'll let them know we'll have some schedule ideas happening,
okay.
but
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. We're working on some shit. I think the main thing right now is we really need to bring together a name for the podcast.
Yeah.
So we can start just blasting this out, getting this out there. So yeah, if any of y'all have any ideas what we should name this shit, let us know, because we're open to ideas.
Definitely open.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah, we were gonna do the podcast on Wednesday was what we were originally talking about, but we threw up a little event reminder for tonight. Hopefully anybody saw that, and if you didn't, well, on Twitch I should say. I need to elaborate where things go on. I don't really know, but
oh yeah, right, you can't read my thoughts.
yeah, you don't know what's going on inside my head. That doesn't work. Oh, okay, shit. But yeah, for now we're still doing everything over. We're doing our live streams over on Twitch, uploading everything after the fact onto YouTube, and working on the back end of everything else. So you know that YouTube already threw the yellow demonetized sticker on our thing, not suitable for most advertisers.
Really?
Yeah. Fucking first day.
I wonder why.
I wonder if it was the bat nipples or the swearing.
Oh my god, the bat nipples, I forgot about that.
Right? I just thought it was funny. I was just like, all right, and you don't play that game. Okay. All right, YouTube.
So wait, so what happens with that?
It's essentially, it still plays fine. It does the whole thing, but it's just limited to, it's like limited.
Or something?
Yeah, no, to advertisers. Like certain, it's not going to get the same reach of advertisers. So like only because people, certain advertisers can be like, we don't want to be associated with podcasts that talk about bat nipples.
I see.
Or associated with Sasquatches. You know, or
squatching.
We're squatching. But yeah, so I don't know. I've had that happen on a few of my videos randomly here and there, and it's just part of like the weird ass YouTube algorithm and shit. And it's weird, but I don't know.
Interesting. I haven't seen it, so
yeah,
I don't know what that looks like, but
it's just on the back end
crazy,
shit.
Like
there's been a whole
just like the first thing we threw up. Just got the fuck.
Yeah, just like the next day they're like, nah. But there's been a whole like fiasco of going on YouTube right now with like the back end of that stuff, which is like they called it the adpocalypse, and it was based around
clever.
It's kind of started around with PewDiePie, and he had I don't remember exactly what situation it was, but he had that's right, he had said some things that got completely misconstrued by the media, and they ended up calling him a Nazi and all this shit.
What?
Yeah, and then certain ad campaigns like Pepsi and all these other ones pulled out of YouTube, and were like the biggest advertisers like, no, we don't want to be associated with that kind of stuff. And so apparently
so just something out of context or what?
Yeah, initially,
it had to be.
Yeah, initially it was completely out of context. There was some other stuff after the fact that he took the flack for, but there was one where he was talking about how it's so funny. He made a video. That's fine. I don't know if I should go too far into this because it happened a while ago, but it's not really current news. But
this year,
yeah, it was of recent, and it's just the fact that a bunch of people probably already heard about this. But I'll go to the basics of it. Was that he made a video, just basically talking about how most media takes everything out of context, and in that video,
and ironically in that video,
yeah,
this is what that
he had dressed up. I mean, it sounds worse when you're saying it, but he had dressed up in Nazi gear, like a cheap Halloween costume kind of thing of it, and like was like saying like, this is gonna get taken out of context and blah 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 blah. And they take that
it as an example.
And they took that exact image of him saying, look, PewDiePie's a Nazi, blah 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 blah, and the whole thing. And then everybody pulled out, and then like crazy amounts of people who made like videos that were like slightly offensive or with lots of swearing and stuff saw like, or not even people that had slightly offensive videos. A lot of people saw their like ad revenue just like tank. Tank. So that's why everybody was just kind of like slowly trying to find another way, you know, where can we go? And then Twitch is like, come on over.
Water's warm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for real. So it's interesting times.
How ironic is that though, eh? That was the video that it
came
from.
Yeah, absolutely, like, dude.
Fucking prove my point.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the whole thing just went crazy. Like there's ever seems to be drama tied on the back end of YouTube and all that shit, but that one was one of the biggest of recent. It was crazy.
Of recent.
Yeah, of recent, because I think it's drama is just like I say a part of it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, dude.
Clearly.
So ridiculous. Yeah.
Fucking YouTube, eh?
Fucking YouTube. Fucking with the boys.
Fucking with the boys. Trying to stop that creativity.
That's right.
So I guess is that where Twitch is like elevating the game, so to speak? Where they're not like putting up red flags and
for sure. Like they're definitely letting people be a lot more like there's a lot more freedom with content and stuff like that. Like I think when Twitch initially started, it was based off of like just lots of was based off of gaming, of course, right?
Right. Yeah,
and then
that's what I knew it from.
Yeah, and myself as well. And then it's now expanded much further into stuff. Well, I mean, the fact that we're just even podcasting on here, but they do like lots of people do IRL streams and stuff like that, where they'll have like a camera mounted on their back and like they're going like when you recently were in Japan or something like that, somebody will IRL stream in a like a place where they're traveling around. Yeah, you tune in live, and that person will have like a phone, and they'll converse with you and like be like, oh, like you go check this out, and then like you know,
that's so fucking
sick. And then they're getting like tips and shit the whole time, and
like yo, turn left up here, bro.
Yeah.
That's the spot.
So there's all that kind of stuff to the point where like, you know, there was like I showed you that one guy that draws on Twitch, you know, super badass, which I'm thinking this guy needs to do a little painting on Twitch at some point. But
yeah, I gotta get on that.
Hell yeah, dude. It's just been rad. Just like from when I hopped in recently, just starting to be able to see the stuff that everybody's doing, and seems like a really cool outlet. So I don't know. I'm interested as fuck in it. So
it seems super like eye-opening.
Yeah, for sure.
Right? Where again, it's a tool, and they just give you the tool, and now you're seeing what people are doing with it.
Yeah.
And like you said, I knew it from gaming.
Yeah.
So when you were like, no, bro, check it out. Like people are doing different shit.
All sorts of shit,
what
man.
What do you mean? And I was like, anything and everything.
Fucking everything, dude. You can pretty much find people doing anything on here if you want.
That's awesome, man. It's so cool to see just what people are up to. You know what I mean? Like, I guess like a way to put it in few words, but
yeah, for sure.
To see what people do with it, right?
Well, yeah, ultimately that's exactly
and there's gonna be dumb shit for sure,
of course,
but there's gonna be the shit that hits you like out of nowhere, and then you're like, whoa, puts you onto something you didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
And then you're like, whoa, like how we're talking about mukbang.
Dude,
right? Like,
that shit's one of the craziest things. For anybody that's not aware of that one, if you want to have your mind blown about just culture and people in general, look up mukbang or mukbang. It's MUKBANG, I believe. And it's essentially there's a really good Vice documentary on it.
Yeah.
That was where I found it.
I suggest watch that. If you just YouTube Vice mukbang.
Yeah. And then I think they even have I think food porn is even like mixed into with the title, because it's like because I know that's kind of a term that gets attached to it.
Right.
Because so essentially, for anybody that doesn't know what it is, and if you want to have an idea what it is before you watch, is it's like it's like cam girls essentially, or something like that, to be the easiest way to put it, except instead of having somebody doing like sexual things on the other end, the person is eating food.
Yeah. And it could be like a crazy amount of food, or it could just be someone cooking a meal and eating a meal like with you watching and
it sounds
and, like live chat and stuff.
So far-fetched.
It sounds weird,
right?
It really does.
And I know a lot of people right now are being like, yo, what the fuck, why would somebody tune in to watch somebody eat food?
But there's people watching this, they'll be like, fuck yeah, you just brought that up.
I love
that shit.
Hell yeah, right? And but the crazy thing is what starts to blow your mind is that these people are the celebrities in Korea. That they're the famous people, because like it's so popular over there. And when you actually start to find out why, is it makes the whole thing that much more relatable, is the sense that I think it was
doesn't seem that far-fetched when you find out the story behind it and like why it is the way it is.
Oh man,
you're not so quick to judge.
And essentially like the basics of it is like 80% of the people over there don't have people to eat meals with. Something as simple as like sharing a meal with a family member or a friend, a coworker, something like that, just that basic human interaction. So for them to be able to even get that by sitting down at their meal, putting their phone down,
log on and just fucking chime in.
Because you know, like Gary Vee says, that your phone is the TV nowadays, right? So the people freaking all of a sudden sit down with their phone and watch their favorite mukbang artist eat a meal, and it feels like they're part of something, right?
It
feels like they maybe have a bit of like
the interactive part, right?
Right.
Just fucking chat in.
So like I remember catching myself like all things when you're a bit skeptical and you're trying to be you catch yourself being judgmental about something, and it's usually because it's like a little outside of your comfort zone. And you're like, why am I being so?
Something that it's like not necessarily out of your comfort zone, but it's like it's new to you,
right?
So it's not familiar. So you're like, I don't know if I'm gonna let this into like what I'm about.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But then I was like literally sitting down to eat my lunch and watch the Hodge twins eat something ridiculous. And I'm like, this is just the American version of this. Like, this is literally like, I had so many bubbles burst in my brain. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you kind of piecing things together, right?
It's not that weird. It's not.
It really isn't.
Yeah.
If you know, check it out. If you
don't
know.
Yeah. If you want to have your mind blown on a little cultural phenomenon, cultural phenomenon. That's a mouthful. Little cultural phenomenon. Which isn't actually that little. It's a very large thing. Go check out mukbang. Yeah. Well, freaking, I don't know. You got any other shit you want to dabble on today?
I don't think so. No, but just to let you guys know, we are working on some pretty cool ideas for, like you said, segments and stuff.
Yeah.
And one of which I think we're going to introduce in episode 3.
That's right.
So stay tuned.
So yeah, that's just going to come real soon. We're going to do that one on Sunday, I think.
Yeah, let's do it Sunday.
All right, cool. All right, we're aiming to get that guy out on Sunday afternoon. Like we say, we're still working on this whole thing. It's all new to us. We're just having some fun.
At the end of the day, man, it's all it is. It's all for fun.
And I know that, like, you know,
we're fans of this shit, so
yeah,
we've just kind of wanted to do it. So we're
for sure,
it.
dude.
So
we're just exploring it. Yeah, fucking share that shit around, get it out there. And it's like, we know that we're, you know, exploring a lot of random ass topics, and it turns into a bit of a longer podcast, but we just want to give somebody a little bit of background movement. And if you know you need a little something to get you through the day, we'll help you get there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, boy. All right, well, friggin' I don't know,
signing off.
I guess so. I mean, yeah, we'll cut. It's already been freaking 2 hours and 17.
Fuck, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Right?
Goes by
220. So freaking
some fire in the booth.
Yeah. Well, we'll leave you off with some skarting, man, and we'll see y'all in the next freaking podcast.
Peace, guys.
Peace. Thanks for watching. Late.
Is 4 minus 1, that's 3, quick maths. Everyday man's on the block, smoke trees. See your girl in the park, that girl was a uckers. When the ting went quack, 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 You man were ducking. Old tight Asney, he's got a pumpy. Old tight my man, he's got a frisbee. I trap on the road, moving that cornflakes. Rice crispy, old tight my girl Whitney. Perfect. On the road doing 10 toes. Lama toes, you man fought, I froze. I see a pen girl, then I pose. The thing goes skrrr up, pop, 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 pop. Skitty pop, pop, and the boom, 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 boom. Skia, boom, 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 boom. The thing goes skrrr up.